As you know, more than 2,250 British citizens were ordered to leave EU member states between the end of the Brexit transition period and September last year, according to figures from the Union Statistical Office. In one of my recent videos, I talked about the numbers all over the EU. But an important topic for British emigrants was Spain. And today I want to go a bit deeper into that topic because it was a lot in our comments as well. More than a third of the British immigrant population in Europe live in Spain as immigrants, but gone are the days when they could freely move, live, work, study, or retire in any EU country of choice. Since 2021, all Brits are now classified as non-EU citizens. From an immigration perspective, this clearly has an impact on entry requirements to Spain, their duration of stay, and what kind of activities they are legally allowed to do. Following the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union with Brexit, there were concerns about the rights and status of British immigrants living in EU member states, including Spain. The withdrawal agreement, negotiated between the UK and the EU, aimed to protect the rights of British citizens living in the EU and EU citizens living in the UK. Under the withdrawal agreement, British immigrants who were legally resident in Spain before the end of the Brexit transition period, that means on December 31st, 2020, were entitled to continue living and working in Spain. They were required to register their residency and obtain a new residence document, such as a TIE, that's a Tarjeta de Identidad de Extranjero, to ensure their continued rights and access to services. After Brexit, British citizens who were residing in Spain before this December 31st in 2020 wanted to maintain their residency right, needed to apply for the TIE. The TIE replaced the previously issued green residency certificates, the Certificado de Registro, for British citizens. And of course, I have some key points about the Tarjeta de Identidad de Extranjero for you. The TIE serves as an identification document and provides evidence of legal residence in Spain for foreign residents. The TIE confirms the rights and protections granted to British citizens under the withdrawal agreement. It ensures that they can continue living and working in Spain, as well as accessing healthcare, education, and other public services. The TIE is typically issued with a validity period, which may vary depending on the circumstances and the specific situation of the individual. Renewal may be required before the card's expiration to maintain the residency status. The TIE contains biometric data such as a photograph, fingerprints, and personal details of the card holder. To obtain a TIE, applicants are required to go through a registration process at the designated immigration offices in Spain. The specific requirements, supporting documents, and application procedure may vary depending on individual circumstances such as employment status, family situation, and length of residence in Spain. But as I said, this only applied to legal residents in Spain before Brexit. And to be a legal resident, they have to fulfill the requirements for residency as an EU citizen before Brexit. EU citizens intending to reside in Spain for more than 3 months were required to register their presence at the local Oficina de Extranjería or designated police station within the first 3 months of arrival. The required documents for registration typically included a valid passport or national ID card, proof of health insurance coverage, and evidence of sufficient financial means to support oneself. And these requirements could vary slightly depending on the specific circumstances, but overall they were there. Providing proof of a Spanish residential address was necessary, such as a rental contract or property ownership documentation. EU citizens were encouraged to register on the Padrón, which is the municipal census or register. It establishes their residency in a particular municipality and can grant access to certain local services and benefits. Once the registration process was complete, EU citizens were issued a Certificado de Registro as proof of their legal residence in Spain. And this document served as a residency card and was typically valid indefinitely. Many did not do this, and so there was the big outcry when Brexit came. And it also showed in some interesting numbers in 2021. One of the main reasons for a surge in UK nationals becoming Spanish residents, has been attributed to Brexit. I mean, the UK's act of leaving the European Union, which has caused both parties to undergo fundamental changes and restrictions. And that was a big change. And according to data from Statista, the number of Brits who are holders of Spanish residency permits has jumped drastically, increasing by 9.5% from 286,000 recorded in 2019 to more than 300,000 and 313,000 in 2020. The data further shows that even the UK and EU parted ways in 2020, Brits wanted to remain in Spain, as the number of UK nationals was on a constant rise throughout the years, peaking at this total of 314,000 in 21. The rise was in big part the result of people suddenly registering what they should have done a long time ago. Under the terms of the withdrawal agreement, UK citizens who were legally resident in one of the EU's 27 member states at the end of the transition period on December 31st in 2020 were eligible for permanent residence, protecting their basic rights. 14 countries, including Spain, but also Germany, Portugal, and Italy and more, opted for systems automatically conferring a new post-Brexit resident status on legally resident Britons, with no risk of losing rights if any administrative deadline is missed, if they registered before. Those who missed the deadline, as well as new arrivals since January 2021, are now subject to EU member states' immigration, residency, and visa laws for third country nationals. But life in Spain in general is now very different for British citizens. As I said, the Withdrawal Act included a transition period during which UK citizens who've moved to Spain prior to January 1st in 2021 could register as a resident to get a special residence permit. This residence permit ensures that all UK citizens and their dependents can continue enjoying the same rights as pre-Brexit, if they were registered pre-Brexit. And under this act, British citizens who've lived in Spain for 5 years or more had the opportunity to exchange their existing residence permit and get a long-term residence permit, a permiso de residencia de larga duración, that's valid for 10 years. Those who've yet to complete 5 uninterrupted years of residence in Spain can still apply for this long-term residence permit after 5 years of legal residence in the future. But unlike before, British students are now required to apply for a Spain student visa to legally stay and study in Spain. The other requirement is that they must get a TIE number, or residence permit number, within 30 days of their arrival in Spain if their course is more than 6 months long. One of the biggest blows for British people as a result of Brexit is finding a company that sponsors a work visa if they want to work there. Finding a job in Spain isn't as easy anymore, as they would need a Spanish company to convince the government that they couldn't find any EU citizens suitable for the job. In other words, say goodbye to jobs like bartending, event planner, or office assistant, because those employers won't sponsor a visa. To find a job that will get them a visa, they would be better off by applying for jobs that either require highly skilled migrants or jobs that are on the government's official job shortage list. And if they want to become a freelancer, in Spanish a so-called autónomo, then the situation is more complicated and time-consuming. As a British citizen living in Spain, they'll need to pay progressive taxes on their worldwide income and assets as well. And this is a huge change, as prior to Brexit, their worldwide income didn't get taxed if they spent more than half a year in the UK. But after Brexit, they will need to pay tax on their worldwide income, including British savings and pensions. And this is because, as a resident permit holder, they are required to spend more than 183 days in Spain if they want to renew their visa. Since spending half a year in Spain makes them a tax resident, they'll need to pay taxes on their worldwide income as well. And paying tax on their worldwide income is no fun, and thankfully there is a dual tax agreement between Spain and the UK, so that they don't have to pay in the UK anymore. So that means they don't have to pay double tax on the same income. But due to Brexit, their UK driving license isn't valid in Spain after 6 months of the legal residence as well. So they now have to obtain a Spanish driving license by retaking the driving exam. Otherwise, they risk getting a fine. And as a British citizen living and working in Spain, they'll get access to Spain's healthcare system for free. They only need to get their Spanish social security number to register at a health center and receive their Spanish health insurance card. But if they are unemployed or are not eligible for state healthcare and have legally lived in Spain at least a year, they could swap their personal health insurance to Convenio Especial. This is a special low-cost opt-in health insurance that covers basic healthcare needs. And if they have reached the legal pension age in the UK, they can apply for free healthcare in Spain by filling out a certain form. It's called S1, but this is too much detail. In this case, the NHS pays for their healthcare bills in Spain. And actually, this means they cannot also register for Convenio Especial or Spanish healthcare themselves. Retiring in Spain as a British citizen is still possible after Brexit, but sadly at a higher cost. To start the process of retiring in Spain as a British citizen, they need to apply for a non-lucrative visa. Since they cannot work on this visa, not even remote work, they need to show proof of sufficient financial means for their duration of stay. The qualifier for the non-lucrative visa, they must show they have at least £27,792 and euros and 96 for the entire year in their bank account. And if they want to bring along any family members or dependents, they need additional 6,939 per person per year. And to prove their financial means, they could present an up-to-date bank statement dating 6 to 12 months, or dividends or rent, savings, pension income, credit cards with certified bank certification, and so on and so on and so on. And again, no remote work income, as that is not allowed. The funds can be in other currencies, but they must ensure that they add up to the minimum requirement in euros. And additionally, all of the financial proofs must have their name to show that they are theirs. And aside from that, they also need to prove they have private health insurance until their application form is accepted. And a medical certificate proving that they are not a threat and in good mental and physical condition. And also a police report showing they have got a clean criminal record. And if they want to renew this visa, they need to show they have lived in Spain for at least 183 days and that they have financial funds for 2 years, as the renewed visa will be valid for 2 years. So everyone retiring in Spain will have to go through this every 2 years. First it's 1 year and then every 2 years. And they always have to show that they have this money. And that means not a regular income that helps. They need to have that money for those 2 years, plus the money for everyone else joining them. And so Brexit really made life in the EU very hard for Britons, because they have to fulfill the requirements of every third country citizen existing that there are no other deals with. And this also means that that was just Spain I was talking about today. Spain was a major topic in the comments under my EU citizenship video and the ECJ, and so I picked Spain here. But every single EU country has its own rules for third country nationals living in their country. Only the British that lived in an EU country before Brexit and have fulfilled all their obligations with registering and everything. I told you how this works in Spain before Brexit already. Only they can claim the rights of the withdrawal agreement, because otherwise they don't even have a proof that they were legally resident there, because they weren't legally resident there if they have not followed all those registration stuff. And that was the main reason why suddenly, after the end of the transition period, so many Britons in Spain got a leave notice. And I talked about this, about a lot of other countries, and Sweden and the Netherlands were high on that list. But that's exactly what happened. So Brexit is a gift that keeps on giving, and there are so many more cases of this, and it's different in all 27 countries. And that's the point about sovereignty. Brexiteers always denied that, but with regard to who can live in your country, they are very sovereign in the EU. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.